Honest as Hell, a Men of Metal podcast, and I am your host, Kip Brooks. Welcome back to the show. So, I have tried to record this episode, I've lost count, well over 6 times now, and there have been so many technical difficulties. So, I got faith in today. I had the same or similar technical difficulties with several other um, content pieces I was recording for other situations, and then other episodes for this. I think I finally got it worked out. Apparently, I inherited the technical difficulties. So today we're going to touch on something I was on PDR Universe um, back in January, early February, and sometime after the expo, and we were talking about profiling and a little bit about nonverbal communication. And one of the things that came up in that interview towards the end, I wanted to touch on some more here, and that was lack of eye contact. So I just wanted to go into some of the nonverbal communication a little deeper, bust a few myths, and expose some reality around it, because there's been TV shows and movies projecting all sorts of garbage that's just not truth. And want to help people connect to customers better, and spouses, partners, kids, friends, whatever. So got some notes here, uh, just to make sure I cover the things that have come in the FAQ, and or that I've had clients and students ask, or just all the feedback so far. So here we go. So one of the things that's real, we you hear a lot in today's world about being politically correct and don't judge people and all of this. Well, as humans, we are a judging species. It's part of how we roll. It is very much what helped our species survive this long and continue to do so. We are judging the environment. We are judging others constantly at all times. So just know that when a customer comes up to you, whether they're doing it consciously or not, you're being judged before you say a single word. And it's, at most time, it's costing you money. Um, Customers decide if they trust you in seconds, not minutes. Some actually say milliseconds. And there's also a lot of studies that say we have people have an attention span of less than 7 seconds. It was 9 or 10 seconds a few years ago, but it has dropped, and it's going to actually get worse um, with reels and shorts and all of that. We are this scroll happy society that we live in is causing a whole lot of damage to how we interact in the world. So anyway, in that short attention span, we're making those decisions even quicker, because so not only are we only given a couple of seconds to uh, see to make that first impression, see if the customer likes us, but also gain their attention. So these two kind of are going to ride the same line through this a little bit, because if you're doing the things that we talk about here, if you start working on them, practice them a little bit, it's going to help you stand out, which we talked on a previous podcast about just standing out with etiquette and things like that in your work environment. This is going to piggyback with that as well, of adding to that the things to make you stand out, whether that is to your customer, your broker, your body shop, your customer. I think I already said customer. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, so um, and nonverbal is not just what you're picking up from the customer, it's what you're projecting out. Okay. and back and forth the same. So how you interpret their nonverbal impacts how you respond to them, and therefore that impacts how they send it back to you. So when there's misinformation or a miscalculation, you can see on either side, you can see where it goes, but you can see how it can go south real quick. And all we can really do, the meaning of communication is the response you get. So you go from what they say to you, you go from what they give you back, and the only one you can really control is you. So you got to think on your feet, watch what you say, but it's really not all that challenging. It's actually pretty simple once you get into it. So the yeah, people don't read body language; they feel it. So the harder you try to catch stuff, the more you're going to disconnect from other stuff, because we can only focus with our foveal vision, but our peripheral vision is picking up everything. So I want to touch on that real quick. So we'll get into things a little bit deeper later, but one big thing that you need to realize is men and women are different. And I know some people consider that hate speech, but we are. There is a difference. And in this context, the difference is women have a peripheral vision. If they're standing face to face with you, they have a peripheral vision of about 48 inches, 4 feet around. So they can be looking someone in the eyes and be able to tell you things about their shoes. Um, it's rather amazing. Um, Men, on the other hand, we have about 18 inches. So, ladies, anyone listening, if a man looks you up and down one time, that's because he can't see. He's got more tunnel vision than you. Anything beyond that, then maybe it's flirtatious. So men understand that women can see everything, and they need to be able to see your hands. Hands in pockets are often perceived as you being deceptive. Doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is, but here's the important fact. Doesn't matter what you're projecting, it matters what's received and perceived. So when you approach a woman, hands up front, and you want to be directly in front of her, face to face, both feet pointing towards her. Um, if you are man to man, you want to actually be turned off to the side a little bit, not like chest to chest, more shoulder to shoulder, just kind of turning your shoulder towards them. You can be in front, but more at an angle. Reason why is because subconsciously in our mammalian brain, which is basically the same as a monkey's or a donkey, we take that as possible confrontation. So anyway, roll forward that. But with women, you need to stay right in front of them. I have seen men in a sales environment and there'd be like a table involved. He'll walk around the table to sit on the same side as the customer, thinking he's projecting, oh, we're on the same side here. Well, that might work with a man. It does not with a woman. If she doesn't know you, keep the table between you. Keep in front of her. If there's not a table, metaphorically think there is one and just stay in front of her. Because if you come around to her side, you're in her dance space. Anybody that is old enough to remember Dirty Dancing, and she's not there to dance. So it'll make her feel quite uncomfortable oftentimes. So just keep it safe, keep it professional, stay in front. She needs to see your hands at all times. Don't put them behind your back, don't put them in your pockets. Um, let's see. So uh, back to just more general statements. That's enough kind of for now for the, we'll go into, in the future episodes, we'll probably dig into like male female studies, because I've seen guys really drop the ball when trying to sell to a woman, or be good at selling to women and not so much to men. and they don't understand the difference because they're approaching every single customer the same way, and it just doesn't work that way. And even if they want to hear the exact same things, it's like how we deliver it is the big difference. How we act while delivering it. Like having confidence in what you say and not being blazing, not being like overly cocky or anything, just being certain in what you say, whether the job is light damage or hard damage. Like just, yeah, we can handle that. Like, yeah, we can handle that. Like saying it like that, that's doesn't instill confidence. And say, yes, we can handle it. Yeah, wow, man, that's some of the worst damage we've seen this storm, but no worries, we got you. Like, um, I'm a big fan of letting them think the damage is bad, so there's no sticker shock for them. However, also going to let them know that we got this. Like, we're not shaken by it. Like, wow, we're actually kind of excited for the challenge. And, one of my favorite things I ever heard on Keith Costantino say on the PDR College podcast was something around just using the word damage instead of dent or anything else. Always say damage. Our language is so powerful, and he was so correct on that. And I love it because I've heard so many guys use it since. It's been years and years. And that's when I start geeking out on the show. I'm like, yes, someone else gets it. And because it is so powerful, we are constantly with our words putting a picture in the minds of anyone listening. And the image we want in this process is we want them to think or see their stuff. Everybody comes to us, oh, I got a small dent, and it's the size of a football. We have to educate them. So we have to bring them into reality. And then also bring them to a solution and let them know that we've got it. So we are the messenger of worse news than they were hoping for, but we are also going to be the hero in the story. And using our language and our nonverbal cues are going to manifest that and bring it into fruition. So um, be calm and steady while speaking on that confidence. Like, don't be all sporadic. Don't be bouncing around the car. Like, stay. You are in control. You are the leader in the situation. If they're concerned about something over there, like, we'll get there in a second. Like, let's wrap this up. Don't. It does two things. It does multiple things probably, but main two things to see is when a sales guy is kind of jumping topic to topic, and whether you're a tech or whatever, if you're talking to a customer in that moment, no matter the context, in a way, you are being a salesperson. So if you are talking to your kids and explaining the rules of the house and why they have to follow them, you are being a salesperson. Zig Ziglar, one of the OGs of personal development, said, as a parent, your job is to be a better salesperson to your kids than the drug dealer on the corner. So no matter what your position is, you need to know how to communicate and sell. And one of the things when we jump from topic to topic, kind of back and forth, we're sporadic and we're like wiggling around, not really standing firm. If we don't stand firm, our words don't come out firm. And if our words don't come out firm, structured, and strong, and we are jumping topic to topic, like kind of sporadic, like if you take them from one side of the car to the next and you're like back and forth too much, they think it's a sleight of hand. Like, they might not consciously pick up on it, although a lot of times they do see it that way. But subconsciously, it's too much, and they feel distracted. They'll feel confused, and they won't feel properly nurtured to put a word on it, or a couple of words. So just be aware of that. All customers are uniquely the same, right? Um, they have their ways of communicating and things, but you need to have a system for how you approach them, approach the car. And when you go up to them, um, if you listen to the PDR Universe episode that was on, we talked about, um, I call it the color donut, like the color ring around our eye, and how that tells you how much distance someone needs. Not ironically, when someone reaches out for a handshake, that tells you the exact same thing. We reach our hand out, shake someone's hand at the end of our comfort zone. So I've got a friend at the gym. Every time he sticks his hand out, his elbow actually goes out farther because he's conflicted. Actually, he needs space. He doesn't feel safe, but at the same time, he wants embracement. So he's got his hand like close to his chest. And if you're on video, you can kind of see what I'm doing. But his elbow goes out farther than his hand because he wants to be safe, but at the same time, he is craving some connection. Such a great dude. Um, it's just we all got our stuff. And same thing. So with a customer, they stick their hand out. I've delivered 25, 30-minute presentations on what handshake tells you and how to communicate through a handshake and never say a word. Maybe we'll get into that in this show down the road. Um, but just know for right now, where someone puts their hand out, it's kind of their comfort zone. Just kind of pause there and embrace with the handshake, and then be aware of that. Keep that same distance at least for the first say 5 minutes or so of conversation, whatever. There's no real time limit on it. It just depends on how quick you can build rapport. Uh, Once you get really good at rapport building, you can within 20, 30 seconds, you can be inside that dance space, so to speak, to go back to the dirty dancing. Um, Approaching a car, approaching a customer, look them in the face, look them in the eye. One of the things, again, PDR Universe podcast, when we were talking about looking at the eyes, the eyes tell us so much. And we'll get more into those and profiling stuff in the future. And, but one of the side effects of using the eyes as the main place to get your information from someone is it makes you make eye contact. Now, one of the things that was brought up on PDR Universe podcast was if they're not making eye contact, automatically that means they're lying. Doesn't at all mean that. There's a time and a place where it does, but it's not consistent enough. And actually, over time, it has been proven that people who make too much eye contact, or when someone is trying to deceive you, they will intentionally make too much eye contact or make more contact. They'll make an effort to because they want you to trust them. They want you to believe in them. And they don't want to be distracted by other things. They want to focus on what they're telling you. So there's so many reasons somebody may not make eye contact. One, we kind of talked about it on that episode, is our eye pattern movements. When we're trying to think of something visual, we're looking somewhere in the up area. When we're talking to ourselves internally, we tend to be looking down. Side to side, we're trying to remember what we heard. That's auditory, side to side. Visual is all up top. There and everything goes in a direction, but that is unique to each person. Visual recall tends to be up and to their left, but it's not always. It's like 80% of the time, I think. The studies they fluctuate a little bit on those numbers because again, we're all unique. And if the person's had a traumatic experience physically or mentally, these can change. So you just kind of pay attention, but you don't even need to know them. You just know that that can be a reason someone is not making eye contact with you. And there was a theory for a long time that if they were left-handed, they looked in one direction, like visual recall would be to the right for them. And if they were right-handed, it was to the left. Well, that was debunked long ago. Has nothing to do with which hand they are dominant in. It's has nothing to do with anything else like that. So anyway, but the important part is just understanding that when they are looking away, it doesn't mean they're being dishonest. It doesn't mean much of anything. It can mean they're processing stuff. It can mean they are ashamed. Some cultures, it is actually seen as disrespectful to make eye contact. So, for like more than a moment. So you got to understand, we have no idea the people, these customers or whoever you're talking to, we have no idea who they've crossed paths with, what they learned is polite and respectful, what they were taught not to do. Because in some Sometimes, like the environment I grew up in, there were men around me when I was a child who would tell me, like, if I made eye contact with them for more than like a second, for a couple of seconds, be like, "You got a problem? Are you calling me out?" Like it was like an alpha type thing, and it's ridiculous. But I learned not to make eye contact because I was way smaller than him. I'm still way smaller than most humans. Um, so as a child, I learned, oh, you don't make eye contact with somebody unless you want to fight. Like that was me. Um, which is ironic because actually, when you go into combat sports, they teach you to look at your opponent's chest. The reason for that is because in the chest, we can see that whole peripheral area. Even men, we've got enough to see if somebody's going to kick us because you can see the top of the legs. That's just a little thing. And we're better at seeing movement with our peripheral, our foveal vision, which is straight on. Tunnel vision, think of it that way. That sees more detail, but it doesn't pick up on movement as much. Peripheral picks up on movement. But anyway, this is not a fight podcast. So it's rushing words, rushing the words. Speaking too fast can be seen to some people as you're not confident in what you're saying. You're trying to overwhelm them with information. Visual speakers tend to speak faster. Kinesthetic speakers tend to speak slower. Auditory is right in the middle. There are taking courses taught people on how the best approach is with people. When you don't know what they prefer, it's not a big deal. You can just listen, pick up on the tone they use. If a New Yorker guy comes in to you, we all know the stereotypical, like, comedians and TV shows have been built off of it for decades. A little faster paced, a little more aggressive, a little louder, and they see that as respectful. So you just pick up on what they're giving you, pay attention, kind of match them. But and some people say that's oh, you're trying to deceive someone. It's like you're trying to make them feel comfortable. If someone comes to visit you and they speak a different language than you do. Say you have a foreign exchange student and they don't fully speak your language, and you know a couple of words of their language. Greeting them in that is not deceiving them. You're trying to put them at ease, make them feel welcome. It's the same thing. It's your intent behind it. And pickup artist community has taken a whole lot of this stuff and tried to really distort it and corrupt it. Say this is how you do this, and oh, this NLP technique does this, and all that's a bunch of bogus crap. It's not actually NLP. It's just taking an idea from it and blowing it up on steroids in a negative intent, and it's see-through pretty dang quick. So on the idea of busting myths, there is this rumor, it's been around forever. It says 93% of all communication is nonverbal, and only 7% is the words you say. If that were true, you could turn off every movie you want and just watch it and never need the words, and you know exactly what's going on. Now, besides some like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies in the 90s, dialogue is important in movies. The action star movies of the 80s and 90s, nobody watched it for that. Dialogue sucked. We just, except for, yippee-ki-yay, mother. And, a couple of little one-liner zingers that Bruce Willis threw out, or Mel Gibson. It really didn't matter much to the plot. It was just filler until we got to the next fight scene. But besides those movies, you'll be hard pressed to find a movie that you can watch without the subtitles or without the audio playing and actually be able to understand it. So that'll bust that myth on its own when you actually think about it. There is a context where that worked, and people took that one specific little context, and even the guy who did the research, he said as soon as people started blowing up with it, he said in the research there, this is very specific context, And he had 19,000 other, I'm exaggerating there, but he had tons of other statistics and percentages based on context. People took one and ran with it, and it's been blasted all over the internet ever since. I have been blocked on all sorts of social media for when somebody posts, oh, it's 7% is the words you speak, and 53% is this, and 35% is it, whatever it is. And I call it out, I'm like, that's not actually true, because I'm not trying to be rude to them. It's like, I want people to have the real deal, because people are running around with this false information and going out and they're getting themselves in a mess and they don't understand why. So anyway, let's see. Uh, kind of scroll through my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah, so Hollywood, TV shows, all that have made us think that they wouldn't pick up on these micro expressions, and this means that automatically. Almost none of that's true. And rarely can you pick up on that. You've got to be really dialed in to be able to pick up on that in the moment, like these one specific little things. And if you're watching for those one little specific things, like I said a little bit ago, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss other things that are bigger. It's just you. It's a data collection point. You're grabbing. You build a baseline. If you know the person already, this is why it's ways like people almost can read the mind of their spouse or their kid. It's because you're around them all the time. You got a great baseline. But someone you don't know, you've got to form that baseline, and we got to do it. We're doing it kind of quick. And so one of the ways to speed it up, and this terrifies people, I don't understand why, it's so simple and it's impactful. It really helps build rapport. Is if you see something, like one of the myths, it's been around forever, is crossed arms mean they don't like you, they don't trust you, whatever. They're rejecting you. It's complete garbage. There are times it's true, just like anything. Everything's true in some context somewhere. It's also false in some other context. And this happens to be false more times than it's true. They could be cold. That could just be their comfort zone. If you're talking to someone and they unzip their jacket, or they're wearing a suit with buttons and they undo the buttons, that is a sign that you've built some rapport with them. What does a dog do, your pet dog, do with you and maybe your family that it doesn't do with any other human? Rolls on its back and wants you to rub its belly. It'll never, almost rarely does a dog ever do that with someone it doesn't know. Why is that? All the vital organs are right up front. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. Just hit it again, saying what I was doing. So it exposes throat. I just did it again. Keep tapping that microphone. Exposes the throat, exposes the stomach. Like when we open up like that, we feel safe with whoever we're talking to. That doesn't mean that the opposite of that, like crossing arms, is protecting those vital organs. It doesn't necessarily mean they don't trust you specifically. They don't feel safe around people. Like it could mean either one. It can also mean that they're just insecure about their body. Like, who knows? And what else can it mean? So for me personally, there was a time in 2012 where my shoulder was so injured between dents and working out and training jujitsu and boxing and kickboxing, um, just constantly being in this pushed forward position that it had jacked up the back of my shoulder so bad that just hanging by my side, it caused pain. So I'll cross my arms, use my left arm like a sling for the right arm. So my arms were always crossed. And there were times where people would ask, like, why you got your arms crossed with me? And that's what made me like more aware of it. Finally, I pretty much healed my shoulder without surgery. And now I don't do that. But like I say, it was something totally different. There are some people that are just in general more comfortable with their arms crossed. It's been hanging down. A lot of people don't know what to do with their hands. Like it's kind of odd. You just kind of standing there. We're not supposed to have our hands in our pockets ever because that means all sorts of things. So people don't know what to do with their hands. So sometimes the easiest thing to do is cross their arms. And actually, sometimes if they're listening to you and they cross their arms part way, especially if they start like putting their hand at their chin and tapping their mouth, they're processing what you've said. So think about it kind of for an auditory processor, usually that's the case. And it's like getting to the end of the line on a page, and now you have to reset and go back to the left side of the page and start writing again. So it's kind of that momentary reset in there. Like those of you that are old enough to know what a typewriter is, it's when it gets to the end of the line, and now it's click. You're welcome for the cool sound effects. Um, it's that like their cup runneth over. They've got to file away all the information you've given them. They're thinking about, giving themselves a recap, kind of subconsciously thinking about what they heard, how they feel about it, and they're either going to respond or maybe ask a question. If you were so, what led on to this rant? Um, the hack is anytime you see something like crossed arms or something else, and you think it's negative, or you think anything about it, doesn't matter. But especially if you think it's negative, take that as an invitation. Offer up a space for questions. So just say, is there anything you're concerned about? Anything you would like to ask? Is everything good? And up to this point, offer it. Allow the space. You don't have to say, "Hey, you just crossed your arms and stepped back and turned your foot to the left, like, and your eyebrow kinked. Like, what's going on?" You don't have to do that. You just invite them to say something. Invite them to ask something. Let them tell you. Let them know it's okay for them to tell you or ask you something. Way too many people in a sales conversation are talking brochures and just dumping the information out there. And they have this like unconscious program that if I can just bludgeon the customer with enough information and words, they'll just cave in and just give me their car because they'll see how smart I am or, whatever. And they'll be mesmerized. And more times than not, it works the other way around. Or if they do just give in and they're overwhelmed with words and they give the keys, they have what's called buyer's remorse. And you don't want that. You want the customer that feels empowered because they chose you. So empowered, in fact, they're going to go around and tell all their friends about you and tell everybody in town they're an idiot if they don't bring their car to you. One of the ways to do that is by helping them feel like you are trying to understand them. There's a caveat. I know I've mentioned on some of the episodes that didn't fully record. I may have mentioned on some other ones, and you'll probably hear me say it a million times. But we all want to be understood, yet most people don't believe they can be understood. It's that little grumpy, whiny teenager inside of us. You don't understand me. Um, so, and there's a language hack to like never say you understand. You can say, I'm trying to understand. Help me understand. Things like that. Don't ever just all of a sudden say, I do understand. It's kind of a little next level advanced stuff. I don't think it fully crashes it if you do say it. Especially if you're following up with questions and you seem like you're trying to understand them. You want to understand your customer. You want to understand your spouse. You want to understand your children. Practice this with everyone. And I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to myself right here. So that is the majority of those. A couple things to cover as well. So things like I just did, touching the chin. Neck touching, face rubbing, fidgeting, they're all emotional regulation. People see that and it's like, oh, they're being dishonest or whatever. No, they're just regulating their emotions, just self-soothing. Think of it as a child with their blankie or their favorite toy or a pacifier. Um, just recognize it. These can signal stress, not necessarily lying. Though lying can cause stress, can mean stress, but that doesn't necessarily mean because they're trying to soothe stress that they are therefore trying to cover up a lie. It's not how it works. So just understand, and you gotta understand, we work in a department of catastrophe management. It's a stressful situation. It's not for us. I mean, it is, but like in a good way because we're there. We're making money. Finally, we've had a rough winter. Even if it's July, I'm still getting off a rough winter, right? Um, but customers, it's stressful for them. There's not much positive to it for them. You've got to see it from that point. They got to pay a deductible. For those of you who charge a deductible, for those of us who charge a deductible, um, that's very contextual. But yeah, they've got to come out of pocket. They got to make a claim. They've got to, their lives have been disrupted. Everybody leads, not everybody's very productive, but everybody leads a busy life in today's world. And this adds headache to that. So understand that. While this is a bit of your lottery ticket, it is not for your customer. So just understand that. Have some compassion with them. Again, they will feel more seen, more heard, more understood, and feel more confident in their choice of picking you. Or you just come work with my crew and you don't have to worry about this. And back to the feet real quick. So paying attention to someone's feet can tell you a whole lot. But them moving them away from you can a lot of times mean they're looking for a way out, but doesn't mean they're trying to get away from you. It could mean they have an appointment they forgot about. They've got to go to the restroom. They they're late for work. Like, who knows? They're hungry. They want to go to lunch. Like, or it could just mean they've got an injury. Most people's hips are so out of alignment from sitting at a desk all day that their hip flexors and glutes are weak and feet are going in all kinds of directions. So again, you need that baseline. Did they walk up to me with duck feet, or were their feet straight? And now that they're standing here talking to me, one foot's turned out and like away from me. If they are turned towards you, it tends to mean they're engaged most times, but watch for the other stuff. You know, if people start kind of walking away from you while talking, it's like they don't want to be rude, but they do need to get going. Like, and again, none of these are, this means that. But you just got to pay attention to it and start paying attention to the customer the minute they get out of the car, the minute they pull up. The way they pull in tells me all sorts of things about them. I'm looking at their car as well because their car is going to tell you stuff about that customer. The bumper stickers they got, the condition of the car, the age of it, and again, the cleanliness, the condition. Like, I'm looking for so many different things. And again, at the end of the day, ask, 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 ask. You only help your customers feel better about you, and you only get more information you need of whether or not you want to work with this customer and what type of customer they're going to be moving forward, as well as how they need to be treated moving forward. And it's just, you can't lose. You can't ask too many questions. So we could really go in. I could do 10 episodes on this and not even be scratching the surface. We'll get there. But this is, like I say, the stuff people have been asking about, and I've been wanting to get it delivered in earlier episodes, but it, for whatever reason, wasn't working. Everything appears like it worked on this one, so yay us. And again, thank you guys. I've got, starting next week, we start bringing some guys in to interview, so we'll start mixing that up, do a solo, then interview, an interview on a drop, here and there, just trying to bring as much value and information to you guys as possible. So keep the questions and ideas and topics coming in. Appreciate everything, all the support so far.